in one of the next live sessions. And you have me, I'm Devdatta Ghat. I'll be your guest lecturer and also the lead learning facilitator. I'm presently the CTO at Live Planet Incorporated, where we make a VR camera, and also we implement the VideoCoin network. VideoCoin network is a decentralized cryptocurrency platform that we use to do decentralized video streaming, powered by a VideoCoin token. So I've been in the video industry and technology industry for a while now. Started my career at Intel. Spent about 10 years building video and video technologies. Before joining Live Planet, I was at Cloudera, and I have over 6 patents in video and related technologies. During the live class, like this one, or a live class that you will attend in the future, you're strongly encouraged to participate in the live session. You can put in any questions that you may have in the chat box, and we will try to answer your questions as a part of the live session. So please feel free to put in any questions that you may have right now into the Q&A box. So the goal of this live session is a quick review of the course itself. We'll go over what we'll be going to do in the course. We'll go over the assignments. We'll look at a blockchain case, and we'll look at the key features of the course. And if there's any QA, we'll do that for the last 30 minutes. But that's the overview of today's session. Let's start off with a course outline. So the course is split into 8 different modules, and the first module we'll be doing an overview of blockchain technology. You'll learn the different types of blockchain technologies. You'll get a high-level overview of a 50,000 feet view of what the lay of the land is. You'll get to see the different terminologies, how the technology is used, where it can be applied at a very high level without getting into any of the details. From there, you'll go into the cryptocurrency network. In the first module, you'll understand the different applications of the blockchain technology. And in the second module, you'll actually get into the cryptocurrency network, understand what cryptocurrencies are, how cryptocurrencies work, the different types of cryptocurrencies, how the whole cryptocurrency idea was started off, and most importantly, you'll understand the difference between a cryptocurrency and the blockchain technology. From there, you'll go into module 3, where we'll understand the strategic applications of blockchain technology in existing business. So what this means is you look at how you can take blockchain technology and apply it in your existing businesses. And these applications may be more obvious than you thought in the past. So as you pick up these use cases, you can go and as you pick up and understand the blockchain technologies in module 1 and module 2, our hope is that in module 3, you'll start to learn how to take these use cases and apply it in your own existing business use cases. From there, we'll go on to entrepreneurial ventures using blockchain. So in this case, you'll in entrepreneurial ventures, you'll understand the different types of blockchain ventures that's going on, the blockchain startups, ICOs, and a whole bunch of other interesting ways in which entrepreneurs are innovating using the blockchain. You'll understand the startup ecosystem around blockchain, and you'll also figure out what are the opportunities that are available within the blockchain ecosystem for you to create entrepreneurial ventures. From there, we move on to module 5, which is one of the most important modules. It is the regulatory and policy considerations of blockchain technology. The regulatory conditions around blockchain technology always keeps changing, and every country has its own blockchain technology rules, which keeps evolving at a rapid pace. And module 5 hopes and helps you to get a grip of the lay of the land when it comes the regulation. And what are the regulation? What are the important factors for you to consider when you are either starting your own blockchain technology company or using blockchain technology to apply to a use case in your existing business or any other variation of it? Understanding the policy considerations of blockchain tech is really important for you as you approach the blockchain use case. From there, we'll go on to blockchain for good. So blockchain, as of now, is not just being used for entrepreneurial ventures or in existing business cases. Blockchain is also being used for a lot of good and a lot of good of the humanity in various ways. You'll get to look at a lot of those use cases and also some interviews there on how blockchain is impacting the human society in a positive way and taking it forward. From there, we'll go into module 7, which is privacy and risks in using blockchain technology. So in module 7, in module 5, we understood the regulatory and policy considerations. So in module 7 is kind of complementary to it, where you understand the privacy risks in using blockchain. So like in existing technologies, there are a lot of privacy and there are a lot of privacy laws that have already been implemented, like GDPR, or in California, there's a new law coming up. But understanding the implications of these into blockchain technology is what we try to do in module 7, where you understand the status and the state of the technology when it comes to blockchain and the privacy risks of using the technology. And finally, we will look at module 8, where it is from modules 1 to 7 was a look either backwards or into the present state of blockchain affairs. In module 8, you look at the future and figure out how the blockchain is moving, what you can do with anticipate the path of the technology, figure out how you can react to that in your business use cases, and catch the future wave of blockchain progress. So that is the high-level module overview. We will also be doing 2 sets of assignments. One set of assignments is course studies, case studies, where you'll be doing 2 main case studies, the Deutsche Bank case study and the Mars case study, and we'll also be doing a final blockchain strategy case study, where you'll figure out and pick up a target client. In your strategy, you'll find that's a capstone project where you will find a target client. You'll figure out how or if a cryptocurrency will be used in the strategy, figure out existing competition, what are the entrepreneurial ecosystems there, and what are the key regulatory and policy considerations, and see if there's any greater good of your application, and tie it up with figuring out if there's any privacy and privacy risks involved. So the blockchain strategy case, the capstone case, is kind of a wrap around of all the modules that you learned, and for you to create a strategy out of all the knowledge and the live sessions and the interviews and the assignments that you do. It helps you create a blockchain strategy case, which will be your final assignment. So we've had a lot of fun with this assignment. Students really like this one. We really like this assignment because it gives you a well-rounded overview of everything that you learned over the course, and gets you to submit a project that neatly wraps around what you learned over the course. We will also be doing sorry, I'm just looking for a slide that we're missing. Okay, so there is there's supposed to be a slide here, but anyway, we'll also be doing course assignments, which is workshop assignments. So those assignments you'll be directly doing with me, where in the first week of the study, you'll be understanding what a blockchain is, what is a block explorer. You'll be finding a block explorer for Bitcoin, Ethereum. You'll be actually going and looking into the blockchain, finding transactions, figuring out how to verify transactions. And these are all very hands-on workshop exercises. You'll do those. After that, you'll go and after you're done with the exercise where you look at the blockchain, the next exercise is actually creating a cryptocurrency wallet. So you'll go and create a wallet for yourself through a workshop, and you'll use the wallet to do some transactions. And from there, you'll be going and be creating your own cryptocurrency. We built a nice tool for, as you learn the cryptocurrency section of the course, once you're done with that, we built a really nice tool for you to go and create your own cryptocurrency. So you understand how the whole cryptocurrency ecosystem works, and how you can, once you created the cryptocurrency, how you send it to others, receive it from others, and different uses of the cryptocurrency. And you'll be doing this on the Ethereum mainnet itself. And we've also introduced one new assignment in this course, which is very exciting, which we think you'll enjoy, is we've added a new assignment where you'll be creating a blockchain on your local computer. So through these course assignments and through the first few workshops, you'll be using Ethereum mainnet, which is the Ethereum blockchain that is publicly available. But in the newly added assignment, you'll be creating a blockchain on your own computer and interacting with that blockchain. So this will be preceded with a live session where we will be going over how to do that on, and me and the learning facilitators will be showing you how to do it on your computer. But this gives you a very good overview of how and where the development ecosystem for the blockchain tools are. So imagine if you were trying to understand the internet and internet development, you'd install a browser or you install a HTML editor and so on and so forth, which would give you a really good overview of the ecosystem. Our goal is to do the same here and give you an overview of the blockchain development ecosystem with the new assignment. So that's also coming up. That'll be a part of your workshop assignments as well. Before we get into the case study, I just want to take a brief moment to introduce the learning facilitators. Hamdi is joining us right now. So Hamdi, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, definitely. Hey guys, I'm Hamdi. I'm one of your learning facilitators. I graduated from Berkeley, and that's where I got into blockchain technology through the organization called Blockchain at Berkeley. During that brief time, I co-founded a research lab called Floor State Labs. We were one of the first implementers of the Plasma MVP spec. Plasma is simply a way to scale Ethereum. And that venture, we got a couple of grants from the Ethereum Foundation, so we got to work closely with a lot of the members within the blockchain community. And I got involved in this course as well, and I like teaching and educating people about the technology. So as a learning facilitator, weekly, along with Wesley, who helped co-found the startup with me, we are going to be hosting sessions where we'll go over the weekly material and answer any questions that you guys may have. So as you go through the course, if there's any pending questions, feel free to always hop into one of our office hours and ask away. And these office hours will be shared between me and Wesley. And Wesley cannot join us today, but there's a little bit of the background on the next slide.
Yeah, maybe you can introduce Wesley also, Hamdi.
Great, yeah. So Wesley and I both went to school together, and we both started our research lab. Wesley has a little bit more experience on the business venture, more so where I'm an engineer. As listed on the slide, he's worked at various funds, Galaxy Digital being the main one, PG&E, BMW. He led the consulting division within Blockchain at Berkeley. That organization has done several projects with different Fortune 500 companies. And along the same lines as me, we both love doing education. So we took this on as a way to explore that.
Yep, thank you, Hamdi. So yeah, like Hamdi said, one of the biggest assets you have in the course is the learning facilitators. Both Hamdi and Wesley have spent a lot of time in the blockchain technology, and they live and breathe the blockchain world, and so do I. So like I have a startup where we build a decentralized video encoding, video streaming platform, and it's called VideoCoin. You can go check out videocoin.io. And So we have a lot of insight and knowledge into the blockchain world. And between me, Hamdi, Wesley, and Maura, you can get a lot of questions answered, or we can point you in the right direction. So feel free to ping us either on Canvas or send us emails via Canvas, and we'll get to your questions as soon as possible. On top of the learning facilitators, you also have a very interesting cohort. So the students that you work with, the students that you have discussions with, and the students that you collaborate with come from very diverse and bright backgrounds. So I just picked a few logos from the list of students that we have this time. I put it here, but these are just a few of the companies that your class represents. There's a whole lot of other people from very, very interesting companies joining us this time as a part of the course. So make sure that you make friends in the class. One of the first assignments that you have is to introduce yourselves to the class, join the discussion sessions. But through the whole goal of doing these introductory sessions or encouraging discussions on the Canvas board is to make sure that you make friends with your cohort, and you understand how your classmates are using blockchain technology in their present businesses or plan to do it in the future. On top of it, so some of the dates here on the slides is wrong, but like we'll have on top of the standard module content that we also will have weekly content, and there'll be weekly office hours and webinars. So the webinars and office hours usually alternate. So the office hours are held by either Wesley or Hamdi, and there'll be a webinar where usually all of us join, including me, Maura, Hamdi, and Wesley, and we go over a particular case study during the webinar live, and Maura joins, and then we have a healthy discussion during the webinar. We pick up a case study to go over, and also we dive deep into some technical aspect of a particular case study. So do make sure that to join the live webinar sessions, live sessions. They're usually very interesting, and it is a place where we have a very current on-topic discussion. And Hamdi, do you want to talk about the office hours just a bit?
Yes. So every week, what we do is for the first 30 minutes to summarize the module's material. And in addition to summarizing the module's material, I personally and Wesley, we find supplemental information to kind of help understand that module better, whether that means introducing a new mini case study or just from our own personal experience, what we've dealt in that space that module is covering about. So whether, like for example, with the regulation, when you're running a plasma architecture, there's issues about money transmitters licenses. So we talk about, just very briefly, our own experiences dealing with these kinds of things. And then, like I said, we love to answer questions. Some office hours, we have like great discussions just because we have really curious students. So I really encourage not missing these office hours. Yes, if there's any more questions regarding office hours, I can answer those, but that's a little bit of an overview.
Yep, thank you, Hamdi. Yeah, from there, there is a webinar schedule. We'll be sending that over to you guys over on Canvas. So you do look at the schedule and webinar and the office hour schedule that we'll be sending you guys over in the slide deck that so this slide deck, we'll send it over to you guys. It'll have a detailed schedule on the webinars and the office hours. So please do take a look at those and do join the office hours and definitely the webinars, as they're very informative and helps you interact not with just the faculty, but also with your cohort to understand the latest and greatest in blockchain tech. So overall, for you guys to get any support, Canvas is the place to do it. So when you log into Canvas, you can click on support and you can submit a support so you can submit a ticket to the support team. So once you submit a ticket, it gets assigned to a learning facilitator, and we usually jump on it within 24 hours. Sometimes there are types of questions that really do not form a support ticket, like maybe you want to understand something about a blockchain tech, or you have a question that is not necessarily a support ticket. You can go ahead and send those directly to either me or Hamdi or Wesley as a direct message in Canvas. And on top of it, these two are the support functions, but also remember that in Canvas, there's a discussion function also where you'll be discussing topics with your cohort. For completion of this course, you complete all hands-on assignments, which is 2, and you have case studies, which is 2, and at least do 5 out of the 7 discussion forums and the capstone assignment. So you'll see what are all these things when you log into Canvas, but it is advisable to attempt all of the assignments to ensure you get most of your course experience. What that means is we've formed these assignments for a reason, including the hands-on assignments or the workshop assignments, which are where you'll be creating your wallet, your cryptocurrency, and the case studies are where you'll be learning the Deutsche Bank and the Mars case study. And the final capstone project, all of these have been picked and selected for a reason. And as you attempt to finish all of these course assignments, it'll give you a very deep experience and outlook into the blockchain tech. So we strongly suggest that you try all assignments, and feel free to ping us on Canvas if you have any questions, and if we can help you guys in any way in directing you guys to finish up the assignment. So again, like the discussion forums are a great resource for you guys to talk amongst your cohort and build towards your capstone assignment throughout the course. So assignments are all graded complete and incomplete, and a good faith effort at each assignment earns a complete score. So Hamdi, do you want to talk a little bit about assignments and grading?
Yes. So when you submit assignments, like Deva mentioned, they're complete and incomplete, but we try to go through each of your assignments and provide good feedback. So please, even though it's complete, put in effort, because we can provide you with additional help and guide you towards the right direction. And I saw a question in the chat. The capstone assignment is individual. At least I don't think there is a group option. And that in that assignment, you'll just be like listed on the slide, presenting your own blockchain strategy. And similar to the assignments, we'd like to also provide good feedback on your strategy, because we'd like you to take this further beyond the course. So and the discussion forums is a great way to bounce ideas off one another. So please be active there too. And similar to the previous blockchain strategy and the assignments, we'll be providing feedback there as well. So make use of all the resources that you have, because they're very valuable, and you can brainstorm and create new ideas for yourself and your company.
Great. And also, Hamdi, I'd like to get your help for the next slide also. If you can go over the capstone project and then just explain what we expect out of and what it is, and then what we expect out of the final assignment, that'd be super helpful.
Yeah, great. Yeah, so throughout all the discussion forums, they're all guiding you towards this one capstone, which is for you to create your final strategy. So all the modules are aimed so that you get a good idea of what's possible and what's not possible with blockchain technology. So you understand what regulatory risks there are, what laws prohibit you from doing certain things, and with all these in mind, you come up with your final strategy that could apply to your own venture, independent entrepreneurial venture, or to your existing business, right? So if you're working at a company and you'd like to present a strategy for that company, this is a great place to brainstorm those ideas. And the final strategy, most presentations in life are not very long, and we want the strategy to be the same, where within 5 slides, of course, there's a little bit of a buffer. So if your strategy takes a little bit more, that's okay. But within 5 to 6 slides, you want to basically convey a clear and concise blockchain strategy. And you would understand how the technology fits in with your strategy and why it's needed. So not just using blockchain because it's a nice buzzword and because people like to hear these kinds of things, but also explaining why it's needed and what value it provides. So yeah, with this presentation, you would also attach but you would do a PowerPoint that has a voiceover. So you would present your strategy in a audio format that has slides accompanying with it.
Yeah, thank you, Hamdi.
Yeah.
So like Hamdi said, the goal of the Capstone Blockchain Strategy Project is, and also I said this before, is a way for you to wrap everything that you learned in the course into a nice presentation, into a short presentation, and apply it in a blockchain strategy and present it in a short format. So anything short is harder to do. So when you try to take everything that you learned in a course and then shorten it into such a small presentation, you'll get a unique opportunity to summarize your learnings into the presentation. And the workshop sessions and the hands-on and the hands-on workshop that you did winds up at when you finish up the setting up blockchain on your own desktop. There's no overall project for that, but through the workshop sessions, you'll also learn a lot about the development ecosystem, about the blockchain tech, and through the live sessions, Hamdi, Wesley, and I will also be taking you through some of the new technologies, not only just Ethereum. You'll be mainly focused on Ethereum in the workshop sessions, but throughout live sessions, we'll talk about other projects as well. So this is a brief, very high-level overview of how to get started and get things done on Canvas. Once you log into Canvas, you can click on courses on the left-hand side, and you'll see a menu where you see home, support, modules, and webinars. So when you click on modules, you'll see all the modules that are live. So in the first week, when you click on it, you obviously will see only the first module, and within that, everything related to that module will be available. So like, for example, if module 1 has an assignment, then those assignments will be visible for you to take a look at. Once you're done with the modules, the assignments themselves have instructions on how to submit it. And for you to do anything in particular with the assignment, it's pretty clearly laid out within the module assignment. And the webinars, going down, there is the webinar section. So webinar is where like all of the upcoming webinars are published, and also all old webinars are archived. So like if you miss out a webinar because we have students from all over the world, we try to get a time that is suitable for all of us, but we understand that it's not possible to get a time that works for everybody around the world. These webinars are all recorded and published in Canvas. So after the fact the webinar is over, you can go and play the webinars back and see what happened in the discussion. And the good thing about the webinars is they're just pure learning sessions. There's really no assignments or points involved in the webinar. So you can just watch the webinars without worrying about an assignment, for example. And then, like we said, there's a support tab here for any support queries. You can just submit it. Canvas is very self-explanatory, and you can go play with it. It's pretty easy. If you have any questions, feel free to ping Hamdi or Wesley. And I'll take a brief pause to see if Hamdi has something to add here on Canvas.
I echo what you said. It's pretty self-explanatory. I was answering a few questions, and you answered it here as well, that all of these slides are accessible after the presentation. So when we conduct office hours, you will have the ability to see the videos and the slides for that webinar or office hours. The only thing that is not replicated is when we answer questions, we try to restate the questions so that people watching later understand what's being answered. But the discussions in the chats are what's not saved, because there's not really a way to do that. But outside of the chat, everything is accessible after. The support tab, feel free to use that to ping us. the tickets always get forwarded to either me, Wesley, or Deva. So if you do have general questions or want to get guided in the right direction, feel free to use that. The inbox tab in Canvas is also a way to reach one of us directly. So if you have a message that you want to send to someone specifically, that is a way to reach us. I will say, however, though, that the support tab is the best way and the quickest way that you'll get a response. The inbox tab is often flooded with notifications, so it might be a little bit of a slower response. So please use the support tab.
Right.
But that's it. And definitely, I'm trying to search through Canvas real quick about the capstone requirement, if that was a 5 or 10 slide limit.
I believe it was 5. I believe it was 5,
so.
right? Yeah. Yeah, this is more about Canvas. Just like Hamdi said, I mean, this is the inbox tab. It also gets you to one of us, but the support tab is the easier way because it assigns a ticket and then we track the tickets and we know which tickets are open, and we can clear out tickets way more easily compared to the inbox where it's just a notification. And we do get to the inbox as well, but the support tickets are the best way. This is more about Canvas, how to use the inbox, once you log in. So what you should do right after this webinar is you should log into Canvas, orient yourself as week 0. What it means, like you just log into Canvas, see where the modules are, what are the tabs are like, and compute your course assignment and introduce yourself in the week 0 discussion board. So once you do this, you can start your, the week 0 assignment is pretty much an introduction of yourself, where you go and talk about your background, what you've been doing, why you're interested in blockchain, and so on and so forth. So at this point, we'll see if we have any Q&A and take questions. So Hamdi, can you please help us with that?
Yes. And please use, I understand people are using the chat. It makes it really hard to track. If you submit questions using the Q&A feature, it's a lot easier for us to answer these questions.
Yeah.
And I do see there's a WhatsApp group being created. So that's not moderated by us. I think that's a student-led thing. So join at your own discretion. And I think Shelly, thanks for noting the inconsistency. We'll fix that in the slide decks. On Canvas, it states that 5 slides is the maximum. But I guess the idea was conveyed well that we have, if you need to go a little bit over 5, that's fine, but nothing more than 10. Cool, so I think now we have questions coming in through the Q&A feature. The first question is, how can we create a coin?
Yeah, so I can answer that. So you'll be creating a coin through one of your workshop sessions. So one of the assignments that you have is to create a coin. It's a cryptocurrency. You'll be creating it through the coursework. And after you create the cryptocurrency coin, in one of the live sessions, we'll be going over what a smart contract is, how a smart contract works, and how the cryptocurrency smart contract was deployed. And after that, you'll also try to do the same thing on your own local computer. So you'll be doing that as part of the course.
Awesome. And then the second question I can answer myself, it's what will be the office hours? Sorry, I missed if you've already mentioned. I can briefly describe it again. So every week there will be an office hours held by one of your learning facilitators, which is either me or Wesley. And we cover the material gone over the past week along with the assignment that was submitted. So we'll go over answers, not for the assignment that's due that week, but the previous week, to clear up any confusions or questions that you guys may have. And we'll be pulling in our own experiences, talking, and in addition to recapping the previous week's material. And you can use that time to also ask any questions that you may have. It's very an open-ended time, and it's one-on-one, so you can ask whatever you'd like. And those office hours are recorded along with webinars and posted, and you can see that in Canvas. And there's another question about a coin. is it like creating a unique name for a coin? So I can briefly answer that. So
Yeah.
coins can have names, but there's no strict enforcement. Usually when you create a coin and you give it a name, you kind of have to convince exchanges to list your coin. And people associate, I don't know, I think you're trying like Atom with Cosmos only because everyone agrees that that's the name associated with this cryptocurrency. But there's nothing restricting you from creating your own token called ETH. I think that's the question you're asking, but coins necessarily aren't unique by name, but they are unique by what you'll learn is called an address. And there's a supplemental question about, I think as an example, Bitcoin. The modules we'll have modules explaining this further, but just in very baseline answer, cryptocurrencies vary not only with the coin, but also the type of blockchain they reside on. So Bitcoin is different from Ethereum, and Ethereum has its own suite of cryptocurrencies, but it will explain that in more detail in future modules.
Yeah, so what's the question? What's the difference between Bitcoin and cryptocurrency?
It was just an example to the previous question, I think.
Okay.
But I think that's what they were alluding to.
Yeah. So module 1 and module 2 would cover that in depth. So you would understand the difference between a blockchain and cryptocurrencies. And then in the cryptocurrency module, you'll spend a lot of time looking at the lay of the land with all different types of cryptocurrencies. And then that'll also be coupled with your own wallet creation and working with the blockchain. And then subsequently, you'll be creating your own cryptocurrency.
Yeah. There isn't a question about assignments if we have group assignments. And I think the answer to that question is there aren't any group assignments for this course. The one collaborative space is the discussion boards. So we'll usually have, there'll be a couple questions as soon as you enter a discussion board, and you're expected to respond to that question as long as responding to your classmates. And that's a space where you'll get a chance to interact with classmates and bounce ideas off one another. And there's this is quickly in the chat, the Q&A section in Canvas. If there's a toolbar, if it doesn't show in the toolbar, if you hit the More button, there should be a QA like box or button. Is that how it shows for you, Deva?
Yeah, I think it's probably because you're in if you maximize the window, you can usually see it's probably because of the responsive design. If you go on a desktop, you'll be able to see it on the side. I believe that's what's happening.
I see. Yes. If it is a trouble for you, feel free to drop your question in the chat. I'm keeping an eye on both.
Yeah.
And there's a question for assignments. Any software that's needed for install, like any software that we need to install in advance.
Yeah. So for most of the workshop, you don't need any software installed, except for the last assignment, where all the software that you need to install is a part of the assignment, and you'll go over the requirements are clearly laid out there in the assignment. It is and then you can install what is needed there. And like Hamdi mentioned, for the capstone project, you'd need to make a small slide screencast where you voice over. It can be done with different types of software, but Hamdi had a few suggestions on the slide there. You can either install those or use what you have, but there's no specific installs that you need to do, because you would interact with the blockchain and do everything as a part of the assignments, which will guide you through any installs you need.
Yeah. And there's another great question. Does our capstone need to have cryptocurrency elements, or can it focus on the technology used within specific industry? That's a great question. And the answer to that is that you don't need to have a cryptocurrency for your strategy. And through the modules, we'll actually allude to cases where the technology is used standalone and has no cryptocurrency elements within itself. So it's great that you're already thinking along these lines. Blockchain and cryptocurrencies are two different things, and cryptocurrency is merely an application of blockchain technology. And as like your strategy as well could also make use of the technology without having a cryptocurrency. So yes, cryptocurrencies are never required. They're usually supplemental to use cases if needed. Another question, are we going to learn how to create crypto exchanges? And the answer to no. Exchanges are like a completely different topic. We could chat about what it would require for you to get listed on an exchange, but to create an exchange is entirely a different discussion. It's kind of like analogous to replicating NASDAQ, right, or the New York Stock Exchange. There are mediums how people transfer value to one another, and similar to how if you IPO, you have to kind of get listed on an exchange. Otherwise, you can be penny stock, where you're listed on smaller markets. But creating those ecosystems is an entirely different, topic of discussion. But when thinking of crypto exchanges, you can often think of it just like you would think of the New York Stock Exchange. This exchange has to accept you, they have to list you, and they have to facilitate transfers.
Right. And also probably in one of the live sessions, we can cover different type of exchanges. We can talk about decentralized exchanges, centralized exchanges, and take you through some of the differences. And like Hamdi said, we can, once you understand the complexity of an exchange, so there are decentralized exchanges which are relatively easy to set up. I mean, they're still not easy, not by any means, but relatively easy compared to a centralized exchange like a NASDAQ or a Coinbase. But we'll not be covering how to do that in this course, but we will try to, in one of the live sessions, we'll try to cover the different types of exchanges and what it takes to set up one.
Yes. And to clear up that question we had earlier in the Q&A, what keeps someone from creating a coin named Bitcoin by me versus the real one? And this is the point I was trying to get to earlier, where there's nothing stopping you from doing this. The only thing that I guess is stopping you is the community sense of what's true. So even if you do create a coin called Bitcoin, best of luck trying to convince everyone that the cryptocurrency that you created is the actual Bitcoin. So usually there's consensus just by people who interact with these networks that know what is what, and which is why, people know which currency is Ethereum, which currency is Bitcoin, but there is nothing stopping you. And
yeah, just to add to that, right? Just to add to that, it's like, I mean, a quick analog is from the real world as counterfeit money, right? I mean, you can have the US dollar bill issued by the US Treasury, and then there's nothing really stopping you from printing counterfeit money. But if you do that, of course, you're breaking laws. And then to start with, printing a counterfeit money is extremely hard because the government takes a lot of precautions to make sure that the money is not spoofable. Now, if you do break the law and go and print something like that, you have to convince people that the money that you printed is real. So something like similar to that, you can create your own Bitcoin source code is open source. So you can create your own Bitcoin network. And when you create your network, it'll, like Hamdi said, it'll have addresses and unique identifiers where you to convince people that this is the real value of the Bitcoin. So you need to convince people it's real. So a lot of the you learn these through the modules, but a lot of the perception of value that exists in the real world also exists in the cryptocurrency and blockchain world. So the value of Bitcoin is perceived value, and that is established through nearly a decade of hard work the community has done. And that's kind of hard for you to just create another coin and convince people that it is the real thing. I hope through the course, this will be a little bit more clear.
Yes. And Suzanne had a great comment saying that the real world example that you provided there are consumer protection laws that are a safety net for consumers in the presence of this kind of activity. But in the blockchain world, these consumer protection laws largely don't exist. They do exist when you for scammy things, but they don't exist when there's an argument. When Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash was created, there was a big debate of what's Bitcoin and what's the Bitcoin Cash, right? And we'll talk about what it means to be, and what dictates that answer is what the majority thinks. And this is where the notion of the 51% attack /50, there's majority rules, right? So whatever the majority believes is Bitcoin is what is Bitcoin. So what you can consider the safety net or the law in the blockchain world is a majority. So while we have no laws around what's called what, as long as the majority agrees, we can, and we believe that the majority is right, then we're safe. But with that assumption, great question. Awesome. There's a similar question about domain names. Can we create unique names? So for currencies, you can't, but within the Ethereum network, one of the modules actually talks about the ENS, which is the Ethereum name service. And that's essentially just a smart contract where you can register your own unique name that nobody else can take from you. And that could be something like humdy.eth, I think.
Yeah, humdy.eth.
Yes, and you would of course have to pay for these things, but you can essentially, with your wallet and some money, you can register unique names. And there are features in Ethereum where you can send people money not by their what you'll learn is a public key, but you can send money to these Ethereum names, and these Ethereum names are unique. That's assuming that they haven't been registered already, similar to how domain names work today. And there's a great question for the course. How long in advance do you recommend coming up with the capstone project idea from past courses? So we definitely do not expect you to have a strategy well-defined and thought of at the start of the course. I'd say towards the middle, a little bit past, there's a lot of time for you to come up with your capstone, idea. The best way to come up with your idea is to be active on the discussion boards, because there you'll have people commenting on your use case. You can brainstorm different things and kind of see what sticks and what is well received from your classmates. But definitely do not feel pressured to come up with this capstone idea from now. And if you ever are feeling pressured, feel free to open a support ticket and we can assist you and help you along with your project. Dev, do you have any thoughts in this domain?
On the capstone project, yeah. So I think the capstone project, what we've seen is students really enjoy doing it, but they do get, at the beginning, they do get a little bit worried that they try to start it too early, and then they get worried that they don't know enough to start the project, they don't know enough to apply a strategy. So I wouldn't stress over it right at the beginning. I'd give yourself some time to think through, and then even if you come up with a strategy and then you change it through the course, it's totally fine, because the final presentation is where you present your final strategy. So yeah, I think the point of the capstone project is for a way for you to shape your opinion of your strategy throughout the course. So it's like you learn something new about, for example, you learn something new about regulations, and then you want to go back and apply it. You should go and do it. So that's the point of the project. And towards the end is when you should all tie it together into a presentation. So yeah, I think you'll get enough time, like Hamdi said, but I would definitely encourage thinking about it all the time, so that you can shape it to a nice way. Yeah, I mean, if we don't have any further questions, I'd like to use the last 10 minutes to just open up the discussion forum to just hear from you guys. What else are you expecting and hoping to learn that we can potentially cover in the live sessions. So the live sessions go like this. So it's we usually start off the live session with it'll be Maura, me, Hamdi, and Wesley. We all join, and we start off with the real world blockchain case study. From there, we usually cover a more slightly technical discussion. Like we will pick a non-business or a technical aspect of the blockchain and cover that, and then we open it up for Q&A. So the real world case study that we cover could be, like, for example, one of the exchanges topics that was brought up. So if you have any other ideas or what you're looking forward that we can cover that wasn't a part of the modules that I described, we'd love to hear that from you guys now. And Hamdi, if you can bring up anything that they're saying, it'll be great.
Yeah. One question in the Q&A section that I think alludes to this is, like, when do we think the technology can be consumer friendly? So we'll have, like, talks about Libra and that kind of, Facebook's well known for building products that are consumer friendly. And we'll chat about, I think that is a topic of discussion at the live sessions we'll cover. But I do think that's a great question, and we can provide additional insight there.
Yeah, so we have a live session where we will be covering Facebook's Libra in depth. So that one would answer this question, hopefully.
Yeah. There's not, but yeah, please, people, dump in the chat anything that you guys are looking forward to learning.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be right now. You can think about it. You can send us messages on Canvas. And after you attend the first live session, you can, if you get an idea on what you want to get us to talk about in the next live session, you can do that. We also try to get topics that the main goal of the live session is to cover topics that are current and not covered in the module, or complementary to the modules that we cover. So you can feel free to bring up ideas. We in fact plan to send out surveys on what you want to hear in the next live session. So do fill out the surveys and tell us what would help you in that live session, and we'd like to do that.
Yeah, and there is one thing here that I do think we can do is providing a supplemental reading list. There is a request saying, like, before live sessions or office hours, if they can invest a couple hours up front, to read these things, so that, coming into these sessions, there's a bit better of context for the students. And that is something that we can do. I'll, curate a list, and hopefully I think we can actually send some out, like, weekly pertaining to the modules material. I think that's a great suggestion.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, so if there's nothing else, then we're at the end of the live session. We'll just give it another minute to see if there's any other further Q&A. Otherwise, we'll be ending the session in a few minutes.
Yes, there are questions about very specific topics. For those, we definitely don't have the time to answer them fully here. But if you open up a support ticket with these, then we can note these and address them properly in future sessions.
Okay, yeah, I think overall we're extremely grateful to have you guys as a part of this cohort. We're very excited. We're looking forward to going through this journey with you. So please do remember that you have the learning facilitators and your own class cohorts, classmates, to learn a lot about the blockchain industry. And this is a great opportunity to pick up a very disruptive new technology that's going to change the world and change the way of the way the world. It has already changed the way payments and a lot of other technologies have been working. It's disrupting it. So blockchain has its potential to be a very disruptive and a very long-lasting technology. And that is you learn that through the course. and we're very excited to be on this journey with you guys. So yeah, please feel free to reach out for anything. And thank you so much for joining us. This is the end of our live session. Thank you.
Thank you guys. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.